Act PL 1975, Chapter 231. The notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Omar, can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Corsair?
Here.
Councilmember Dayton?
Here.
Councilmember Michaels?
Present.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Here.
Councilmember Park? Here. Councilmember Rolari? Here. Mayor Zena?
Here. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the speed bump installation on North Lyle Street. So we know we have our traffic engineer here and the police chief, correct?
Yes.
All right, so are we doing they doing a presentation? Or how do
Yeah,
you want to do
I
this?
would start with the chief. He has some data specifically for North Lyle.
Okay.
And a recommendation.
Come on up, Chief. John, please. Omar, can we get everyone on the screen, or it's just the speaker? How does that work?
I can try to get everyone up.
Thanks for coming tonight, Chief.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Okay, so our administrator, Fanslaw, had instructed me to look into a complaint about speeding on North Lyle. I was also, he forwarded me some emails. Obviously, part of the problem is obviously the speed of vehicles, but I think also too, I think it's two-pronged vehicles that are driving down to circumvent the traffic light. That is a different issues in which we're going to make a recommendation on that. So when we get a complaint like this, someone comes to speeding, and obviously something there is something we can put a police car out there, we can do radar, and that is effective. It's effective while the officer's there, but then again, when the officer leaves, something people have a short memory, something, and it kind of goes by the wayside. But also, too, what we like to do is we like to actually establish that there is a speeding problem. So we have I mentioned this in the past, and we have a little black nondescript box. It's a traffic data collection box, and what it does is you can't, other than you don't see any cameras, but it looks through the wall of the box itself, and then it counts cars and it measures speeds. And we did that. I forwarded it to the administrator, as well forwarded it to John Jar, the engineer, and for a 2-week period. It is a summer period. I will do that. One thing in engineering something is that we look at something that's different. There's a few things that you'll look at. Something, one thing is that we weigh heavily on is the 85th percentile, and out of all of the vehicles that traveled in a 15-day period, the 85th percentile, 85% of the cars are doing 27 miles an hour combined down the street. So with a 25-mile-an-hour road, most of the cars are compliant. Now we do have obviously a couple of outliers, but every street has that. And some of the faster speeds that we saw are very few, but sometimes something I question whether it's one of my cars going through a pole that's moving pretty quickly, but also too it could be obviously someone driving through the area too quickly. One thing I will say about, and I don't have the numbers, John Jar has it, but this particular street, it's a narrow street. And one thing that I know something from
It's a what street, Chief?
It's a narrow.
Oh, narrow. Yes.
It's this and North Lyle, the narrow streets. They're almost streets that I would almost like to see like parking limited to one side.
Right.
But then again, this parking on both sides probably has a slowing down effect, that theory of constriction. But what I don't live on the street, and I'm not I'm not sympathetic to the residents' concerns if they have kids there, and I get that. But one thing I will say about narrow roadways is that the vehicles have the appearance they're moving faster than they really are. You put them on a big road, it looks like they're not even moving at all. So sometimes we've had this problem in other areas, and we'll put that box out, and they're not speeding, but they look like they're speeding. The data is telling me that obviously there's some people going over, but the majority are actually compliant. That being said, I don't want to just stop there. Obviously, there are other things that we can put out, something we've done in the past, like painting, thermal paint, plastic painting, 25 miles per hour, signage. There is a request for speed bumps or speed humps, I should say, something on this particular roadway. Based upon the data that I'm seeing here, I don't believe it warrants it. And then also when it comes to the speed humps, and I think John may be talking about that here in a little bit, we don't have speed bumps in any part of town, and before we just put them anywhere arbitrarily, we really need to establish, I don't want to speak out of turn, somebody, a criteria and a policy for that. So I'll speak in a little bit. But the data, and again, it is, I will, I don't know if the residents are listening to something, it is summertime or something, so the traffic's probably a little bit different. Now, when it comes to, I think in the communications that I had seen in the emails, it has to do with, they believe vehicles are circumventing the traffic light, which I believe probably is happening also too. One thing we can look into is we can look into turn restrictions at certain times. So, if you're traveling, eastbound on West Clinton Avenue, possibly making, a turn restriction at rush hour, or actually maybe in the morning or both. Or something.
Like the school streets have,
What's that?
like a lot of the school streets have, the elementary
Well, the
school.
school streets are one way temporarily, but
Yeah.
but you'll see like a turn restriction for a period of time because commuting traffic is going that way. So
Right.
that is an option. I'm not saying that we can do that. So that, and then you flip it on the way back. But again, you have to know where your traffic's coming from, and we can do counts.
Can I ask
Maybe that's an option.
I have a question. So you mentioned on this street, 85% of the traffic is at like 26 or 27
Yeah.
miles per hour. What's the criteria at which point, so that means 15% of whoever it is
Yeah.
speeding. What does that 15% have to turn into before it becomes like, something that we would consider alternative, like a speed bump or a speed hump sort of situation?
I don't have that answer to you, and I think
Okay.
that's what we're trying to establish here with the
Okay.
engineer. where
Yeah, that's the
we
question,
put-
right?
We put a policy together something that puts criteria, something that
Okay.
that would some measures for those.
Right.
Right now, it's probably subjective.
Right.
The numbers are few and far between when it comes to speed humps, and I know some places that have way too many of them. Some places just have struck that balance. It's really not my issue; it's more your issue that you put one on one set of streets, roadway, you're going to probably have something another 40 come out there, and I'm pretty certain that we don't want to have a roadway that of a town with speed humps everywhere because it becomes problematic. And also too, the road department, the fire department, I hear something, but they need to be also just something spoken to also just because I know that they have their issues with them also too, and I don't want to speak out of turn there also too. So that's what I have for this roadway. We have, again, I know we have some painting, something we had some success, I believe, up on Leroy Street with fog lines and slow down and 25 mile per hour, something. We can do that. The road is narrow, but we probably would speak to the engineer, something to see what we think the right fit is there. And we also did get some radar speed signs also to the through the capital budget, the solar powered ones.
I know they make me slow down.
Yeah.
They do. They're
They
effective.
do.
So we have them on Woodland. We have them on East Clinton Avenue.
On Tenafly Road.
There's a couple of locations something that we probably feel that they're warranted. And if anything, I think that would probably be maybe. And again, we have to arrive there on this road, but I think that would be probably the best first step before we go to the permanent.
Okay.
Because once you put them in, they're permanent. It's the answer.
Anyone have questions for the chief? Questions for the chief? Anyone who's on Zoom? No? Okay. So John Jar's going to come up next. Thank you, chief.
Thanks, Chief. It's without question that I agree with the chief's statements. What I've taken the liberty of is I've put together two memorandums. David has them via email. I'd like to propose that the council review this and maybe at the next meeting consider some adoption to our ordinance on a policy for the borough with regard to speed humps and with regard to always stops. We get a lot of questions. It is a very prevalent thing today where residents are concerned about speeding on the streets and about asking for additional stops. We just can't put them everywhere. I'd like to make sure the council thoroughly understands that speed humps are the last thing that we do, not the first. All right, speed humps are the most severe traffic calming measure you could use, okay?
Why do you, so, okay, so let's assume that's,
Let us just say that no matter what you do, there's sooner or later an ambulance or a fire truck has to go down that street, and they're bad for those vehicles. All right, so speed humps are the last thing I want to do.
Right.
All right, what I want to do first is all the other things the chief recommended: corner bump outs, striping, signage. Actually, maybe you might want to consider. We're using this in Louisville right now. He's got a movable speed limit sign. It's a little trailer. It's adorable, and it does great. And we get a complaint, we go out, we do the study, he gives me the data, and we determine, he has some, now obviously it's a much bigger community, 50,000 people, right? So, we have to strategically place the trailer because we can't get it everywhere. But that might be something to consider, that we can have a movable sign. There's also the regular sign that chief uses that's movable on a temporary mount, where you can charge the batteries up and put it from place to place. Those are other options you could do. I love that sign, okay? That is, you want to use that before you use speed humps, the last thing, okay? But you may need them. If you need them, I think we should adopt a policy, and it just shouldn't be we get them every time somebody asks for it. I think we should all agree that there's good, sound engineering judgment necessary to start putting obstructions in a road, all right? People can get hurt on speed bumps. It's bad for automobiles, but the worst case scenario, it's not good for our emergency service vehicles. They need to traverse roads at the speed limit as needed without obstruction. So, David has these via email.
Actually, I don't. I just checked my email. So
You don't
if
have
could,
it?
yeah, if you could email
Okay,
it to,
I
I know
will
we
email
spoke
it,
about
and
it.
can I give the original paper copies to the chief? And you
Yeah,
have chief
or
do
give
it,
them
or
to the
give
clerk
Omar?
and he'll make
That's
copies.
even easier then. So I'm gonna give Omar these, and before I give it to Omar, though, I'd like to answer the mayor's question, all right? Mayor, the criteria for speed bumps, put them, is generally speaking, no matter what, Title 39 requires that the road have less than 3,000 cars per day. So in a 24-hour period, it must have less than 3,000 vehicles. Any more than 3,000, it no longer can be viable for speed bumps, okay? And that's Title 39 requirement. A roadway segment with a posted speed of less than 30 miles an hour. So you can't put speed bumps on any road that's posted 30 or above, okay? A roadway segment that has the 85th percentile speed between 25 and 30 miles an hour. There are roadway segments that has a frequency of accidents, 5 or more incidents within a 12-month period. So if you have no accidents at all, speed bumps are out. All right, roadway segments adjacent to schools, public green space, and areas frequented by children and pedestrians. So in other words, that's one of the criteria that the engineers have, and it's in the ITE, which is another one of the guidebooks that to follow. It says if you're by a school or by a park, you have to give the additional consideration for speed bumps, because obviously we're going to see a lot of children. We want to keep those speeds down. So that's when you should see speed bumps in those areas.
so
Right.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second. So this Title 39, this is
New Jersey statutes.
Statute 39, sorry. So the street we were just talking about, based on what you just said, doesn't qualify because of the accident level and the speed levels.
Correct, it does not.
Okay, all right,
The
okay.
data that the chief showed me, it doesn't qualify. That doesn't mean that we can't go back and look at another day, but we have the complaint. I agree with the chief that the right thing to do is we should address it in some manner. I think additional signage, maybe some striping, and, maybe in the future, if we're going to be milling and paving the road someday or making changes there, considering corner bump outs or some either striped parking, or when you more organize a road, drivers tend to use it in a more organized fashion. So if you have a road that's properly striped according to the manuals and you keep the lanes nice and narrow, people tend to drive at reasonable speeds.
Okay,
And that's everything I have to say about that, other than answer any questions about speed bumps and stop signs.
okay, so who has questions? Anyone? Go ahead.
John, just out of curiosity, the manual on uniform traffic control devices, I saw
Yes.
that in doing some other ordinances that was adopted by the borough. Does that address speed bumps or speed humps, or would that be a separate ordinance? Because the borough has adopted that by ordinance.
Okay, you've adopted the statute, if you've adopted Title 39 into ordinance, which everybody has, okay, I believe the chief's got his ordinance codified, which is very rare, by the way.
Yeah, no.
Okay, just so you know, that's extremely rare. All right, that Title 39 adopts MUTCD, so you're good.
Right.
Speed bumps are covered by multiple texts, though. It's covered by Title 39, first of all right? Second of all, by MUTCD, which has some guidance on how to put them and how to stripe it, how to sign it. And then last but not least, Institute of Transportation Engineers provides additional guidance. So we try to use all three, so we have a holistic approach to speed bumps.
So I guess my direct question is there a need to separately adopt a policy if we've already incorporated it and codified the incorporation of Title 39 and the MUTCD?
That is subjective, and it is up to the decision of this board and this council. My recommendation is to consider it so that the rule is clear for everyone. This way, Sammy, who lives on Street A, doesn't feel that he's being mistreated because Susie, who lives on Street C, got speed bumps and Sammy didn't. Okay, so if we have a unified policy, if you don't have to adopt it as an ordinance, what you can do is you can adopt it as a town policy, all right, and post it on your website. And that's another one of my towns has done it in that manner. So they would just simply adopt it as a policy, post it on the website, and say, here's the rules, everybody has to go on. So,
All right, so you're emailing, we're going to get an email document with recommendations that we'll reconsider at the August meeting. So we want to make sure this is on the August meeting to be to be considered. Any,
I just have a quick question.
the policy,
Looking into.
just the policy we're looking into.
Professionals say the street doesn't work.
Correct.
So,
At this time, yeah, go ahead, Julie, please.
so just a quick follow-up to one of the things that was mentioned in the past. It wasn't about the speed humps, but it was about specifically the four-way stop sign that's at Highwood and J. I know we were getting some flashing flashing stop signs. And I think that if the chief is still there, this would, if I could just get a time frame on that could be.
The equipment is bought where DPW is scheduled to install it. So as soon as they get some time to install it, it'll get installed.
Oh, very good, because that's a place that it's a bit rough sometimes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you, John. We appreciate it.
Did you want me to do that, have anything further tonight, or good?
There might be, I don't know, if you want to stay for the recommendation, for Piermont Road, if you want to stay for that.
The ordinance introduction based on.
For closing it,
Yes,
yeah.
I would definitely.
Yeah, that's going to be very soon. Okay, we're going to move, thank you, John. Chief, thank you. We're going to move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the chambers who would like to make a public comment? Did you see anyone, Omar? Anyone online who would like to make a public comment? I see one member of the public, Andrew McKesh. Would you like to make a comment, Andrew? Well, you just dropped off. I guess he's shy this afternoon. Okay. Omar, I think we're going to close public comment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're closing public comment. Any questions on the administrator's report for anyone? From anyone? Lauren, hi. Wait a minute, time out a second, Lauren. Andrew, did you have a question?
Nope,
No?
I'm fine.
Go. You got it. Go ahead, Lauren, please.
Hi, thank you. Sorry I'm not there. I didn't like the road conditions. So I have a couple questions on both the pool and the code enforcement. So I'll start with the pool. So I got a little bit of a feedback on the pool about the need for more appropriate changing spaces for the guests and a more, I would say, cleaned up designated area for the lifeguards. And I was wondering if we have a pool committee meeting that these concerns can be brought to.
So, yeah, the pool committee is meeting on Wednesday. We're meeting Wednesday.
Okay.
right,
Can you
and,
relay that, those two things?
So it's
So the
some
lifeguards
updated
feel that
changing
they were-
areas?
Yeah, so in the locker rooms, they took out all the benches and some of the more elderly residents and also small children need to be able to sit to change. So there's a request for some seating in the locker rooms.
For some what in the locker rooms?
Seating or
Seating, okay.
Yeah, all the
Yeah,
benches.
we can
were
look into
taken
the
out.
seating. I mean,
Yeah.
the bathrooms, including the changing areas, were all redone this year. So we can take a look at how we can put some seating and other modifications in there.
Great, thank you. And then the second one is that I guess the lifeguards have a designated space towards the back corner. And from what I understand, there's some issues back there, some animals, some non-cleaned areas.
So
And the
we've got to look
lifeguards,
at that. Okay.
yes, please. The lifeguards are really
Yes.
feeling like they don't want to be back there.
Okay. All right. We'll look at that.
Okay. And then I have a second question about the code enforcement. So I am getting a lot of feedback from residents that when they call in for code enforcement at off hours, they don't understand that they could also call the police. Because I've said, oh, have you called the police? And they say, no, we don't want to bother the police with this. But I was wondering if our borough wants to consider an after hours number for code enforcement. You know, a lot of times people come home to issues or things happen on weekends where our code enforcers are not in the office, or even at, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. So I do think that it's difficult because you can't really call the borough, which doesn't have an operator at those hours, to then direct you to the police. And the code enforcement line doesn't really say, go call the police. So maybe we want to have sort of an on-call person answering the phone for code enforcement.
You know,
Not sure.
Lauren, so this might actually be a very simple fix by changing the voicemail message that people hear when code enforcement is closed.
Yeah.
And directing them to call the police or whatever.
And also turning on the auto attendant.
And turning on the auto attendant. So let's
They
look
may
at that.
not, yeah, they may not get to that message because they're not even getting through the main telephone line.
But that's
Sometimes
what I'm talking about, Lauren. We're looking at turning on the auto attendant
Okay.
to simplify reaching Borough Hall employees. So we're in the process of doing it as we're completing the conversion with IT.
I mean, I think our code enforcement is doing a great job. I just, it's very restrictive on when we can get, answers. And sometimes, the code enforcement will say to them, that's not a code enforcement problem. And then they'll go and call someone else. But without having somebody at those other hours, I really do feel like it's a disservice.
Okay.
One of the things that we would need to consider also is potentially bringing on a third part-time code enforcement officer. As we continue to add ordinances and responsibilities to code enforcement, we are covering the entire town with 2 part-time code enforcement officers.
Okay. If you want to put that on the agenda at a future meeting, let's hash it out. Okay. Any other questions for David?
Yes, separate from the need for changing areas, et cetera, how are we doing financially on the pool in terms of our burn rate versus our budget?
Go ahead. You want to?
Susan is here. Susan was on vacation last week, so she's literally putting a report together today and tomorrow for our meeting on Wednesday. So once that is complete, we'll circulate it via email to the entire governing body.
Thank you. Number 2,
Go ahead.
my pond is green.
The pump is on.
I see that. So half of my pond is green.
I think we just need to figure out adding some aerators or something to the pond. Before we thought was that the well was shut off and it wasn't circulating, but it is circulating. But the green.
So the waterfall's enough for the immediate vicinity, but
Right.
not enough for the whole pond.
Yeah.
So we got to figure that out. Okay.
I'll bring it up. Number 3, and final, we have a fox problem.
Fox problem.
Oh, I agree on that one.
We have a fox problem, and people are very concerned, myself included, so I'm self-promoting here, about our animals and our pets. And we have foxes that have had babies, specifically on Park Street where we know where the den is. And people are very concerned about not letting their dogs out. Reasonably so, because mama fox will go out and kill for babies, and 17-pound cockatoos look awfully attractive to foxes apparently. So I don't know what we can do about that, but if we know where a den is and we know what these things are, is there a relocation possibility or any prospecting of some of these issues?
So several of the mayors and myself have been having some casual conversations about asking our friends in Trenton at the Fish and Game group. Okay. I guess they're part of the DEP. I don't remember which acronym they're part of, about convening a meeting of Fish and Game and mayors around 5 or 6 towns around here to talk about foxes, but also the deer situation, which is getting worse and worse. So we're going to try to get that set up as quick as possible.
Well, that's good.
Tomorrow would be fabulous. I can
We do casual to formal, or we tomorrow.
here's a promise I'll keep is that the meeting will not take place tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
we're gonna
thank you
try
for
for,
your
we're gonna try for August though. Okay, and we'll report back with that. Any other questions for David?
I do.
Oh, Lauren, go ahead.
Sorry, this is actually the last part. It's really for John Jar. And thank you, John, for the earlier presentation. But the River Edge median concept, that was my hope that we would get the project started or underway, at least with permissions from the county. So I would like to know when to meet on that project.
The meeting.
I am terribly sorry for the delay, but our
No worries.
humble and very hardworking Assistant County Engineer, Nancy Dargis, who's helping with this, has been on vacation. She recently returned, and her and I have been trading calls since Friday. I will redouble my efforts and track her down, and if I can't get anything resolved by Wednesday, I'll call David and I'll get David through the mayor's help.
John, thank you. I mean, if she's on vacation, no worries. I just, I'm anxious to get this project started. I think it's a great one to have a median and some more safe traffic on River Edge Road and better beautification for our downtown. So very excited to start working on it.
Understood, and I'm sorry for the delay.
No worries.
Thank you. Okay, there's no other questions for David. We're gonna move on. I don't see any hands to correspondence for the block party at 55 Hudson Avenue. Everyone good with this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right, so that's good. Let's move on to new business, introduction of ordinance. 25-22, vacating and repurposing portions of Piermont Road. Councilman Michael, would you like to make a motion here?
Yes. Yeah, why don't you do it? That's all you do.
Councilman Rolieri, why don't you do it?
I move to introduce on first reading ordinance 25-22 and set the hearing for August 4th, 2025 at 7:30 PM or as soon thereafter.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you please read the title of the ordinance and conduct a roll call?
Sure. Ordinance number 25-22, an ordinance of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, vacating and repurposing portions of Paramount Road for municipal purposes. Councilmember Corsair?
Yes.
Give you a thumbs up.
Okay.
Yes.
Councilmember Dayton? Councilmember Dayton?
Yes, but I would like to just ask the traffic engineers, there are complaints for that side of town to get through the town faster. So as soon as we can get the rest of the lighting done on the traffic intersections, please, as soon as possible, since we're going to be closing this off.
Councilmember Michaels?
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Councilmember Park? Yes. Councilmember Roleri?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, ordinance 25-20, sign regulations. Omar, could you please read the confirmation of publication of the ordinance and the title of the ordinance?
Sure. Ordinance number 25-20, it was published in the June 22nd edition of the record. It is an ordinance of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to amend Chapter 35 entitled Land Development Regulations, Article 8 entitled Zoning Regulations, Sections 35-802.24 entitled Sign Regulations as it relates to regulations set forth for A-frame or sandwich board signage.
Okay, I'd like to open the floor for any public comments on ordinance 25-20 only. Are there any members of the public in the chambers that would like to speak? Omar, do you see anyone here?
See no hands, Mayor.
Okay, is there anyone online who would like to make a public comment on this ordinance only? Is there anyone online, Omar?
See no hands.
Okay, we're going to close public comment time. Councilman Park, would you like to make a motion, please?
I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 2520, and that notice of same shall be published according to law.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Omar, could you please conduct a roll call?
Councilmember Corsair,
Yes.
Councilmember Dayton,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Rolary.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 25-21, outdoor dining. Omar, could you please read the confirmation of publication of the ordinance and the title?
Sure. Ordinance number 25-21. It was published in the July 6th edition of the record. It is an ordinance of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 4, Section 25 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly 2004 to provide additional outdoor dining mechanism.
Okay, I'd like to open the floor for any public comments on ordinance 25-21. Omar, is there anyone here in public who looks like they have their hand up and would like to speak?
See no hands, Mayor.
Okay, is there anyone online on Zoom who has their hand up that would like to speak?
See no hands, Mayor.
Okay, we're going to close public comment. Council President Michaels, would you like to make a motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 25-21, and that notice of same shall be published according to law.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, could you please conduct a roll call?
Councilmember Corsair,
Yes.
Councilmember Dayton,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Rolary.
Yes.
Okay, could I get a motion to approve R25-3? Oh, we're doing a public hearing. Okay, hold on, my mistake. Oh, you're right, okay. Okay, Bergen County Open Space Application R25-367. David, would you like to give us a brief overview of the grant application?
Yes, the council will remember back in March, we had sent in our preliminary request, which we included all four tennis courts on the west side. The county got back to me. Our request was exceeding the entire budget for the region. So this project is modifying it to request the funding for one tennis court at $175,000.
Okay, thank you, David. I'd like to open the floor for any public comments on the open space grant. Anyone in the chambers here, Omar?
See no hands, Mayor.
Oh, wait, sorry.
And
Question.
just for
75,
clarification,
their input, or is it 175 divided by half?
The 175, their input.
Okay.
Yeah, we would be,
350.
yeah, on the project, we're contributing the rest.
Right.
Yeah, matching the
well,
rest.
actually, that was going to be.
Julie, you have a question?
Yeah, that was going to be my question, but usually, let's be honest, it's really not 50-50. It's 1/3, right? So I just is it 175 is coming from the county, and we'll pay the rest, and it's going to give us just one tennis court or all the tennis court? What's it going to be ultimately?
David, you have a sense of that? She's
sorry.
at 175 is the county portion. What's the rest of it going to be approximately?
Well, if you recall, we awarded a contract for $700,000 to the low bidder, and that work is scheduled to start in August. So it would be the county's input would be 175 out of the 700.
Okay.
Okay, Omar, is there any members of the public online looking to make a public comment?
See no hands, Mayor.
Okay, we're going to close public comment time. Councilwoman Dr. O'Connor, would you like to make a motion?
A motion for the open space.
For resolution R25-367.
Okay, but on the agenda, it doesn't seem to, is it linked to the public hearings one? That was weird. Sorry. Okay, I got it. Apologies. Yes, okay. I move to adopt resolution 25-367.
Okay, could I have a second, please?
Second.
Omar, please conduct a roll call. Thank
Councilmember
you.
Corsair,
Yes.
Councilmember Dayton,
Yes.
Councilmember Dayton,
Councilwoman Dayton,
I said yes. I guess you guys didn't hear me. Yes.
What, that's
Councilmember
what,
Michaels,
yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Leary.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion for the consent agenda resolution R25-368 through R25-395.
So
I'd like
moved.
to take something out for discussion.
Have a second, what?
I'd like to take some stuff out for discussion.
Which ones?
I'd like to take out the ropes course at the Tenafly Nature Center for discussion.
Wait, which one is it?
The ropes course are 391.
391, what else?
I'd like to take out 395. I'd like to actually discuss 395 before I need to take it out. I'm not sure I want to take it out.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
the 395 was just the correction of the amount. The original resolution had 567,000 even, and the actual amount of the contract was 567,985. So
And how
all
many-
this is
how many
doing is
roads?
correcting the amount to the contract amount of 567,985.
I'm sorry. I couldn't follow the numbers. I'm not writing them down. That went higher or lower?
It's the correct amount is $985 higher than the original resolution.
But nothing else changed in our road program. This is to cover
Yeah,
all the
nothing
roads.
else changed. Yeah, there
And
was
when will the roads for the public?
the
when will that-
number in the first resolution was incorrect.
So I want to talk about the road program for a second because obviously PSE&G has ripped up our entire town, or I'm sorry, whoever's ripping up our entire town. Not PSE&G, the piping. And so many residents are calling in about the state of their streets. So when is that going to be remedied? Especially, these streets are,
So,
I mean,
so
there's potholes
PSE
everywhere and terrible paving patches.
so PSE&G has been working in Tenafly for a little over a year now.
Right.
Maybe 16 months even, and they have recently started the repaving in the same spots they started in, which was in the southwestern section of the town by Stillman. And so we should reasonably expect them to be in town for probably another year at least.
I mean,
before they're
residents are
done.
really asking, when is my street going to be paved? I get these calls often. Someone on Capel just called me. They thought they blew a tire out. I mean, these patches, can we go around with our hot box and at least fill in where PSE&G old paving didn't take? We have to do something.
Well, we can ask PSE&G to address it. I did have Andy Hippolyte schedule a meeting with PSE&G and their contractor with borough officials. I think it's scheduled for Thursday of this week.
And have we confirmed with Andy that whatever's in our 2025 road program isn't going to get reopened?
Yeah, that's already been
Coordinated.
Yeah, it's on the west side areas that PSE&G are not touching.
They've touched already, or they haven't touched?
No, that they're not going to be touching at all.
Because they've confirmed there's no lead piping there, or they're just not touching it?
They're just not touching it in whatever they're doing in this 2-year plan.
Yeah, they have a whole schedule of, they inform us of what roads are getting ripped up. We coordinate the road paving with them so that we're not paving new roads and they're ripping it up right away. Right?
But I'm
We don't
not
wanna do that.
satisfied, David, with that response from them. Because if in the future, in years 3 and 4, they want to rip up those roads, I want to know now whether there's lead piping under those streets. I need a confirmation.
No, these are gas lines.
This is
Right, these
gas
are gas
lines.
lines. So-
Okay,
so I think-
gas lines, whatever they're ripping up and doing, I need a confirmation now that those are either finished or acceptable standards.
So I think one thing that may be helpful, so a couple things, and please correct me if I'm wrong. So the first one is, the reason why most of this is being done is, resident safety, pulling the gas meters and glass lines out of the house from the inside to the outside. So step one is, the hope is that they're doing this, all
It's because
for resident safety,
there's too many houses blowing up around the country.
which is bad, right?
That's bad.
Good, good. So that's point one. Point two is, I think what's important is we understand, did they give us a timeline for this and they're off that timeline? Or are they sticking to it? And of course, we're all frustrated. You know, I'll put my road up next to anybody's on Ridge. Yeah, so I'm up there. But I just want to make sure that if we have a schedule, are they keeping to it? Or yes, it's just frustrating to all of us and we just have to.
Yeah, so,
David, why don't you-
they generally said in the winter that they were going to be paving starting in April. That paving didn't start until June. So they did a tranche in June, and they have a second tranche of paving that they're doing in September for this year. And then there's paving scheduled for next spring.
And is there any accountability
So,
that we hold them to?
I think one thing we have to remember is how wet this year was.
Yeah,
You know, so weather impacts
Yeah.
the paving schedule. So that's likely the April to June, considering how many lacrosse games I was wet at, that's
Yeah,
probably what impacted
actually,
that
it's
one.
PSE&G is behind in doing their residential connections.
I also want to say, but I also want to point out to what Councilman Dayton was saying. If they go and tear up a street within 5 years that the borough has paved it, they are responsible on their dime to pave it end to end, not just the half that they've impacted. So it behooves them to give us the schedule because they're the ones that have to foot the bill if it has to get repaved.
I will say I find it very haphazard. You know, I remember discussing this years ago that they were coming in to do this work and they didn't identify roads that they wanted to work on, and then those were our DOT grants. That's how bad it was. So I don't want to make those mistakes going forward. I want our road program to, you know, spend the money wisely. It's very expensive. It's a huge chunk of our budget. So for 2025, I'm hesitant to pave roads that they haven't done a thorough check about whether the gas lines need to be replaced.
Can we bring PSE&G to, can we invite them to a council meeting with Andy? No, I'm totally serious.
I think it's a great idea.
Do you want to invite PSC&G to a council meeting? We can
Yeah, I
invite
think
them.
it'd be helpful to understand
Of course.
kind of timelines, what we can do as a
Sure.
council maybe to make it easier for them and for them to stay better on track.
August 4th.
Let's invite them.
We hear it, we play telephone. Let them
Yeah.
do it.
Let's invite them. Okay. Jamie, you had a question? Yeah, let's try to get them here for the next council meeting.
No,
Jamie?
I think that was to my point that I think the communication is very key. I think people can be patient if they know that it's happening and when it's happening, but I don't think there's a lot of communication going out to the residents. And the roads are really bad. They're really bad. So I think we have to just be on top of the communication.
Okay.
I like that. I agree.
All
Can
right.
I go back to my first one, which is the ropes course? I would like a discussion. But I don't need to pull that ordinance out of the consent agenda, but I would like to pull the ropes course for discussion.
Resolution.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. Yes, thank you.
All right, so let's do the rest of the consent. Any other questions? That's 391. Okay, I'd like to get a motion to approve resolutions R25-368 through R25-390 and R25-392 through R25-395. Can I have a second?
Second.
Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Corsair,
Yes.
Councilmember Dayton,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Roller.
Yes.
Okay, Lauren, you had a question about 391.
Yeah, I think this needs a little bit of a public discussion. I know that I've been called and approached by residents in the past week or so asking, I guess something went up on social media, asking about this ropes course concept at the Tenafly Nature Center. I don't know if Andrew McKesh is still online. I would like to hear from the Tenafly Nature Center as to their intentions and their support or non-support of this oh, hey, Andrew, of this resolution. Again, I would like to support the Nature Center and developing wonderful family-friendly activities for our community. I think that's an amazing idea. But I do want to just make sure that the details are what they want it, that what we as a council and the Nature Center want it to be. if that's
So
okay.
I can speak to this a little bit as well. Probably David and Mark can jump in, but because I liaison over there, this is basically, there is a subcommittee on the Nature Center, and this is the exploration stage that they are soliciting in this request, companies that would be able to meet the requirements. So this is not, something that is to be signed on the dotted line per se, but this is in response to basically a request for them to inquire about pursuing this. David, did you want to say something more about it?
Yeah, basically, the process has been reworked. Wendy has created the current resolution. We're looking to cast a wide net. I think, basically we need to see some national firms that have done this to the extent of this quote unquote kissing the trees type of process. And I have been in touch with a couple of companies that do that. So it's really just putting the RFP out there, and what we're looking for, I believe, is to get them to come in and look at the area and then sort of inform us of what they think would be sustainable and doable, and potentially some type of revenue sharing opportunity, and whether it's feasible to do this ropes course. So I think that's where this resolution basically gets us with setting a deadline, publishing the RFP to satisfy our procurement laws, but then setting a deadline to see if there is some interest from some firms that do this.
So
Any other?
I just wanted the public to understand.
Just, Lauren, just to your question, the development has been with David, myself, and a member of the board who was asked to speak with us in order to put together the criteria. So it's not being done in a vacuum. Unfortunately, what was circulated on social media was incorrectly put out. So that's not what is happening here. This is,
I didn't even
David
see
said,
the
putting
post.
out a scoping for someone to come in and build and operate on behalf of the borough and the nature center, if it's in the nature center, to operate this ropes course and see if it's practical and if we can move forward with it. It would be basically casting the wide net, as David had indicated.
So
Nothing's finalized.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand that.
Yeah, I was going to say nothing is finalized or anything. This is still in the, find out what companies can do.
Think of it like when we put out the RFP for electric vehicle charging stations, right? We said, put a wide net, company, come in, let us know where does it make sense? Does it make sense? Make a proposal, and then the council considered it as to whether or not it was something that you all wanted to move forward with. The difference here is obviously the nature center would be also in on the conversation on whether or not it works.
Thank you. What I'm trying to do is let the public understand the process. And I think also it's very important in this paperwork that none of the trees would be cut, none of the trees would be harmed. I am asked those questions. There's a consideration of wildlife and noise and crowd control. That's what I read in the RFP. So I just want to make sure whoever's listening out there, if any of our residents are concerned, that they are getting the correct answers here.
It certainly is addressing all that. I just want to point out, whatever you read is not what is going out in the RFP. That was going out under a lease. We've changed the process.
Okay. The other
That document should not be looked at.
Whatever was attached to our agenda is what I looked at. The other question I had is the concessions as part of this. Am I saying that word?
Concession is a type of RFP under the local public contracts law, which essentially allows you the opportunity to evaluate the responses that come in rather than going with a straight lowest responsible bidder type of situation. So it grants more flexibility to the borough. You don't have to award anything. You could look at the criteria of the background of the company, make sure they're qualified, look at what their qualifications are. Their financial stature. It is not a lowest responsible bidder. So it's a term of art that's used under local public contracts for this type of process.
But is the intention to have food and drink out in the nature
No,
space?
no, no. It's called a concession because we're asking a company to step in the shoes of the borough to build and operate. It's not a concession stand, as that term is of at the pool or something where you buy food and drinks. It is, again, a legal term of art under the local contracts law.
Thank you. And I think the public was very confused about that, which is why I wanted to say it out loud here tonight. So thank you for the answers, Wendy.
Okay, any other questions on this ordinance, on this resolution? Okay, can I get a motion to approve resolution R25-391, please?
So moved.
I have a second. Omar, please call the roll.
Councilmember Corsair,
Yes.
Councilmember Dayton,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. O'Connor,
Yeah.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Roll Larry.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of June 16th, 2025, the mayor and council meeting, and June 24th, 2025, the special meeting of the mayor and council meeting?
So moved.
Second? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Nope, okay.
I'll just abstain for the folks that weren't at special council.
I was gonna say it was only Jamie, Dan, and myself who are at the second one.
Yeah.
And me,
At the close.
and me, because there were four of us. Okay, I'm going to recommend we skip the committee reports tonight in light of the weather, unless anyone has something really special they want to talk about.
Can I
Okay.
just say, I want to congratulate the Nature Center on a very successful fairies and fireflies event on Saturday night. It was a sold out crowd. Thankfully, the weather was a lot different than tonight. And it was very successful. I just want to congratulate them all. And I just also want to say on a personal note, I'm going up to our sister city this weekend, Seneca Falls, for all their celebrations, and I will represent the borough of Tenafly.
That's great, Julie. That's wonderful. My only comment I'm going to make tonight is to thank everyone involved in putting up our July 4th concert and fireworks. It was on Saturday, July 5th. The DPW, the police, the ambulance corps, the fire department was there. The borough administrator, thank you very much. The CFO for writing the checks. So there you go.
It was excellent. It was really
I'll keep it
excellent.
all together. I think we had close to, the chief and I estimated close to 3,000 people there. So that was,
Yeah, traffic was.
Yeah.
Flow was phenomenal.
all right. So can we're going to go into closed session. Can you read the authorization there, please?
It's Resolution R25-396 at a meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on July 14th, 2025. Be it resolved in compliance with NJSA 10:4-12, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly are going into closed executive session to discuss the following matters related to real property, leasing of borough property, and potential acquisitions. Minutes will be taken of the meeting and released to the public at the time that the matter is resolved.
Can I get a motion to go into close, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can I have a motion to close the public meeting?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, good night, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.